We present TJC, a new application designed for the interactive exploration of extremely large trees. TJC is a substantial improvement over previous state-of-the-art techniques, requiring much less memory and shorter execution time. In 2003, Munzner et al. Presented Tree Juxtaposer, a system for visualizing and comparing large trees. Here we show a user interacting with Tree Juxtaposer, running on a tree of 500,000 nodes, one of the largest datasets Tree Juxtaposer can handle. Notice that during interaction, only a small portion of the tree can be drawn. We now show TJC running on the same dataset. A much larger portion of the tree can be seen, giving the user a better global context while interacting with the tree. As shown here, our system requires an order of magnitude less memory than Tree Juxtaposer, and a pre-processing time which is faster by 1.5 orders of magnitude. The eventual goal of our work is the interactive exploration of the tree of life, a phylogeny of existing species estimated at 10 million nodes. In order to accomplish this, we needed to redesign Tree Juxtaposer's internal architecture and data organization. Tree Juxtaposer uses a Quadtree for multiple purposes, including screen space node placement, edging queuing for drawing, edge picking, and LOD culling. As we began exploring the problem of drawing larger trees, we discovered several theoretical limitations to using a Quadtree. In addressing these issues, we were able to eliminate the Quadtree entirely. The problems with using a Quadtree arise because of the inherent structure imposed by our datasets. Here we show that as the size of a tree increases, the height of the average Quadtree cell decreases. Tree Juxtaposer uses the size of a cell to determine whether or not edges underneath the cell should be drawn. However, due to the irregular dimensions of the cells, heuristics such as the area or height are not suitable for LOD culling, as edges attached to a cell will likely fall across several pixels. This was not a problem in the original application because the maximum tree size was sufficiently small as to not exacerbate this issue. When drawing larger trees, we found that we needed to draw the entire tree in order to ensure that no gaps would appear. We present a simple method for enqueuing edges to be drawn that also accounts for LOD culling. For any given subtree, we check the locations of the topmost and bottommost leaves as highlighted here. If these leaves map to the same pixel location, the entire subtree maps to the same row of pixels, and we only draw the edges between the root of the subtree and its topmost leaf, shown here. This method allows us to draw trees of arbitrarily large sizes at interactive frame rates. A second issue with the Quadtree arises for edge picking. Because the mouse position is reported in integer coordinates, it is impossible to descend into every cell in the Quadtree. This issue arises because the data structure we are trying to explore has much more resolution than a typical display provides. We use the ATI draw buffers extension to encode the edge ID for every lit pixel into an auxiliary buffer. Here we show the contents of the auxiliary buffer for a tree of 190,000 nodes. When the mouse moves, we can simply read the value out of the auxiliary buffer, short-circuiting the Quadtree traversal and gaining direct access to the data we desire. The Quadtree is now no longer needed, and we replace it with a lightweight grid structure. Each line of the grid is represented by a split value. The splits are stored hierarchically, as highlighted in red, so that the tree may be manipulated in the same fashion as before. As shown here, a node in the topological tree is given a row and a column in the grid, as well as a horizontal offset and a vertical offset for that particular cell. Storing the splits in a one-dimensional array then allows for immediate access to node placement. The end result is a new application, completely redesigned for scalability and robustness as applied to tree drawing. Here we show a user interacting with TJC running on a tree of 14.7 million nodes. For a tree as large as this, we still guarantee visibility while maintaining interactivity, as marked areas are drawn even when they are reduced to subpixel size. This tree requires 1700 megabytes of memory, 62.4 seconds to parse, and 55.2 seconds of pre-processing time, running on an Athlon 1800. Notice as well that the majority of visible nodes are still drawn during interaction. The application is still usable as it scales to a tree of several million nodes.